At first, the story didn't sound suspicious. It sounded familiar. A violent crime. 2 children dead. A mother who survived. She said an intruder did it. And in moments like this, police don't begin by asking who is lying. They begin by asking something simpler. Does the story explain what we're seeing? At first, this one did. In the early hours of June 6, 1996, police were called to a home in Rowlett, Texas. Inside, 2 young boys had been stabbed while they slept in the living room. Their mother, Darlie Routier, was alive. She was bleeding. She was crying for help. She told officers that a stranger had entered the house while she slept on the couch with her children. According to her, she woke up during the attack, fought the intruder, and watched him run away through the garage. At the scene, police saw blood. They saw disorder. They saw a wounded mother. Nothing about the moment demanded disbelief. So police listened. In real investigations, belief is not emotional. It's practical. If a story fits the scene, police don't reject it just because it's uncomfortable. At first, Darlie's explanation fit. She had injuries. The house looked disturbed. There was no immediate reason to accuse a surviving parent. And most importantly, nothing at the scene immediately proved her story was false. At this stage, police weren't suspicious. They were neutral. Instead of challenging her account, investigators tested it. They asked a basic question used in every serious case. If an intruder committed this crime, what evidence should be unavoidable? They looked for signs of escape. They looked for disturbance consistent with someone fleeing in a hurry. They looked for missing property. Not to prove guilt, but to confirm the explanation. What they found wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, and subtle problems are often the most dangerous to a story. Investigators noticed that nothing of value appeared to be taken. That alone doesn't disprove an intruder. Not all intruders steal, but absence still matters. It raises a question. Why enter a home, commit violence, and leave without taking anything? There was also no clear trail leading away from the house. No obvious signs showing where the intruder escaped. And some signs of entry didn't behave the way forced entry usually does. None of this destroyed the story, but it weakened it. And in criminal investigations, explanations rarely collapse all at once. They wear down. Days later, something unexpected appeared. A home video. It showed a birthday gathering at the children's graves. There was laughter. There was celebration. This video did not prove guilt, and it was never evidence of the crime itself. But it changed how investigators viewed everything else. Up to this point, police were asking, could the intruder story be true? After the video, the question changed. If the story were false, would this behavior make sense? From that moment on, investigators stopped assuming an intruder. They started demanding proof. Once police changed their focus, every detail was re-examined. The scene, the injuries, the explanation. The intruder's story no longer fit the full picture. What once sounded possible now felt incomplete. And when an explanation can't support itself, it begins to fail. Quietly. In court, prosecutors argued there was no intruder. They said the scene was staged and the explanation created after the attack. The defense argued something different. They said grief looks different for everyone, and behavior alone does not prove guilt. The jury wasn't asked to judge emotion. They were asked to decide which explanation made more sense. They found Darlie Routier guilty of murder. She was sentenced to death. At the beginning, belief was easy. The story sounded possible, but belief is not proof. When police examined the details carefully, one explanation survived. The other did not, and when it failed, the verdict was no longer silent.